Imagine standing at your own funeral. You're hovering above the mahogany casket, looking down at the version of you the world knew. You see your boss there checking his watch. You see your friends whispering about who's going to take your seat at the bar. You see the people you spent your entire life trying to impress, and they look bored. They aren't mourning you. They're mourning the convenience you provided. Now, ask yourself the most terrifying question of your life. Who actually died in that box? Was it the person with the dreams of greatness? Or was it just a well-crafted character, played by a tired actor who forgot his lines years ago? You've spent your life building a monument to a person you don't even like. You've traded your soul for likes, your peace for a promotion, and your character for the comfort of fitting in. You are a ghost in your own skin, haunted by the person you were supposed to become. But here's the dark truth they won't tell you in those hustle culture seminars. The world wants you to stay a ghost. Society doesn't need you to be a stoic king. It doesn't need you to be a master of your own mind. It needs you to be a consumer. It needs you to be reactive. It needs you to be a predictable, shivering nerve ending that jumps every time a notification pings. You feel that tightness in your chest at 3 a.m.? That's not anxiety. That's your potential trying to scream through a gag. We are living in an era of psychological slavery, where the chains aren't made of iron, they're made of opinions. You are paralyzed by the fear of what a stranger might think of a life you aren't even enjoying. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man on earth, sat in a tent on the edge of a bloody battlefield and wrote these words. I've often wondered how it is that every man loves himself more than all the rest of men, but yet sets less value on his own opinion of himself than on the opinion of others. 2,000 years later, and you're still making the same mistake. You are drowning in a shallow pool because you're afraid of the splash you'll make if you try to stand up. You are addicted to the very people who would forget your name in a weekend if it meant they got a free lunch. Today, that version of you dies, not because we want it to, but because it has to. Because if you keep living for them, you will reach the end of your life only to realize you never actually started it. Are you ready to stop being a character in everyone else's play and start being the architect of your own fortress? Good. Because the path from here is dark, it's lonely, and it's the only thing that will ever make you free. Let's talk about the dark behavior you've been participating in without even knowing it. Every time you post a photo to prove you're having fun, you're actually admitting you aren't. Every time you hold back a truth because it might be controversial, you're murdering your integrity. You think you're being polite. The Stoics would call you a coward. There is a predator in your life. It doesn't have claws and it doesn't live in the woods. It lives in your pocket. It's the dopamine loop of external validation. Think about the last time you felt truly proud of yourself. Was it because of a private victory? Or was it because someone else saw you win? If your self-worth depends on the applause of the crowd, you have handed the keys to your happiness to a group of people who can't even decide what they want for dinner. This is the relatable struggle that is actually a terminal illness of the spirit. You go to a job you hate to buy things you don't need to impress people who don't care. You've turned your life into a marketing campaign for a product that doesn't exist. You are if you think you can just wait it out, you're wrong. Stagnation isn't a plateau, it's a slow, grinding descent. Every time you betray your own values to avoid a conflict, a little piece of your internal citadel crumbles. Psychologically, this is called cognitive dissonance, but the Stoics called it something much more visceral. They called it being a beast of burden. You are carrying the weight of 1,000 expectations that aren't yours. And here's what happens when you ignore the rot. The shadow takes over. When you suppress your true nature to fit the mold, that energy doesn't just vanish. It turns into resentment. It turns into passive aggression. It turns into a silent, simmering hatred for the world and for yourself. You start to sabotage your own success because, subconsciously, you hate the version of success you've been forced to chase. You see it every day. The man who has everything but blows it all on a scandal. The woman who is perfect but is secretly destroying herself with addiction. They aren't bad people. They are people whose souls are trying to stage a coup against their masks. The escalation is a life of quiet desperation. You stop taking risks. You stop speaking up. You start settling for fine. How's the job? It's fine. How's the marriage? It's fine. How are you? I'm fine. Fine is the word we use to describe a slow death. Seneca warned us, we are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more from imagination than from reality. You are terrified of the consequences of being yourself. You're afraid you'll lose your friends. You're afraid you'll lose your status. You're afraid you'll be alone. But look around. You are already alone. You are surrounded by people, but no one actually knows you. You are playing a role. If they love the mask, they don't love you. You are already living your worst-case scenario. You're just doing it in a comfortable chair. The dark truth is that most people want you to stay in the fine zone. Why? Because your growth is a mirror that reflects their own stagnation. When you start setting boundaries, they will call you selfish. When you start seeking truth, they will call you arrogant. When you stop participating in their gossip and their petty dramas, they will call you cold. They aren't criticizing you. They are mourning the loss of their control over you. This is the point where most people fold. They feel the social pressure, they hear the whispers, and they retreat back into the safety of the herd. They choose the warmth of the group over the fire of their own soul. But you aren't most people. Or at least, you aren't going to be by the time this is over. Because we are approaching the turning point. The moment where the pain of being a lie becomes a fire that burns the mask away. There is a moment in every hero's journey, and every Stoic's life, called the katastasis. It's the peak of the tension. It's the moment you realize that the ship is sinking, and you have to decide what to save. For you, that moment is now. To become the person you are meant to be, you must first violently murder the person you have pretended to be. This isn't a glow up. It's a dismantling. It's an ego death. Stoicism isn't about not having emotions. That's a lie told by people who have never read the texts. Stoicism is about emotional sovereignty. It's about realizing that while you cannot control the wind, you are the absolute master of the sail. The turning point happens when you stop saying, "Why is this happening to me?" and start saying, "This is happening for me." Amor fati, the love of fate. This is the most hardcore principle of the Stoic path. It doesn't mean tolerating your life. It means embracing every betrayal, every failure, every insult, and every tragedy as if you had chosen it yourself. Think about the most painful thing in your life right now. That debt, that unfair treatment at work. Now imagine that you asked for it. Imagine it's a weight in a gym designed specifically to build the one muscle you're missing: courage, resilience, self-reliance. Suddenly, the victim narrative dies. If you chose the challenge, you cannot be a victim of it. This awareness shift is like waking up from a fever dream. You realize that your problems were actually your path. The people who doubted you, they were your fuel. The loneliness, that was your sanctuary. The failure, that was your initiation. Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." The very thing you've been running from is the door you need to walk through. You've been trying to find happiness by changing your circumstances. You want a better car, a better partner, a better city, but you're taking the same you with you everywhere you go. You are a leaky bucket trying to fill yourself by moving to a bigger ocean. The turning point is realizing the bucket needs to be mended from the inside. From this moment on, your loyalty is no longer to the crowd. Your loyalty is to the truth. You are going to stop asking, "Is this popular?" and start asking, "Is this right?" This is where the dark human behavior of others loses its power over you. When you no longer fear being disliked, you are the most dangerous person in the room. You have the ultimate dark superpower. You cannot be coerced.
Now rebuild. You've burned the old self. Now, what do we put in its place? We build an internal citadel. This isn't theory. This is the solution applied to the grit of your daily life. To master your psychology and achieve success that doesn't feel like a lie, you need 3 Stoic tools. Tool 1. Premeditatio malorum. Premeditation of evils. Most people spend their lives visualizing success. The Stoics did the opposite. They visualized the absolute worst-case scenario. They imagined losing their job. They imagined their house burning down. They imagined being exiled. Why? Because fear lives in the unknown. When you drag your fears into the light and look them in the eye, they shrink. You realize that even if you lost it all, you would still have your character. You would still have your mind. I could lose my job tomorrow. Okay, and? You would find another. You would sleep on the floor. You would eat beans. You would survive. Once you realize you can survive the worst, the world loses its leverage over you. You can take the risks that others are too terrified to even think about. Tool 2. Voluntary hardship. You are too comfortable. That's why you're weak. Your ancestors survived ice ages and wars. You get a mental health day because someone was mean to you on Twitter. To be a master of your behavior, you must practice being uncomfortable. Take the cold shower. Fast for 24 hours. Sleep on the floor once a month. Walk when you could drive. When you voluntarily choose pain, you prove to your brain that your comfort zone is a choice, not a prison. You become the master of your impulses. When everyone else is panicking because the Wi-Fi is down or the coffee is cold, you are standing still, unshaken. Tool 3. The view from above. When you are stressed, you are zoomed in. You think your argument with your boss is the center of the universe. Zoom out. Look at your city from the sky. Look at the Earth from space. Look at the timeline of human history. You are a speck of dust on a speck of dust in a blink of cosmic time. This isn't nihilism. It's perspective. Your problems aren't big. Your ego is just making them look that way. When you realize how small your troubles are, you gain the dark success of total calm. You can make
make decisions with the cold, calculated precision of a grandmaster because your emotions are no longer clouded by self-importance. This is how you apply stoicism to dark behavior. You don't play the game of manipulation. You don't seek to win the argument. You seek to be the person who doesn't need to win. And ironically, that is when you start winning everything. People are drawn to the person who doesn't need them. Success is drawn to the person who isn't desperate for it. When you become your own source of validation, the world starts offering you all the things you stopped begging for.
You are no longer the person who walked into this video. The transformation isn't just in what you do, it's in who you are. You have shifted from a reactionary to a sovereign. Think about your success psychology now. Before, success was about having the money, the status, the applause. Now, success is about being. Are you a man or woman of your word? Do you remain calm when others lose their heads? Can you look in the mirror at night and say, I did not betray myself today? If the answer is yes, you are more successful than 99% of the billionaires on this planet who are still terrified of a bad headline. This new identity has a different relationship with the darkness of the world. You see the manipulation, the greed, and the shallow games for what they are, a pathetic cry for help from people who have no internal world. You don't judge them, you pity them, but you don't let them in. You have built your internal citadel. When someone insults you, it's like a wave hitting a cliff. The wave breaks, the cliff stays. When someone praises you, it's like a bird landing on a branch. The bird eventually flies away. The tree remains. You are now capable of cinematic storytelling with your own life. Your life is no longer a boring sitcom of getting through the week. It's an epic of self-mastery. You take the relatable struggle of daily life and you turn it into a training ground. Traffic jam, a lesson in patience. Difficult client, a lesson in diplomacy. Loneliness, a lesson in self-sufficiency. You have weaponized your reality. And here is the harsh truth that comes with this transformation. You will be lonelier. As you stop participating in the shared delusions of the crowd, some people will fall away. They won't understand your silence. They won't understand why you aren't out tonight. They won't understand why you're working on yourself instead of complaining about the government. Let them go. The space they leave will be filled by something much more valuable, true kinship. You will start to attract other sovereigns. You will build a circle of people who value character over clout. You will find that a few lions are worth more than 1,000 sheep. You are finally living a life that is cinematic because it has meaning. It has stakes. It has a protagonist who actually knows what he's fighting for. We started at your funeral. The you that lived for others. The you that was a slave to validation. The you that was afraid of the dark. That person is gone. Now, look at the person who remains. You aren't a ghost anymore. You are a presence. You are the silent king of your own life. Stoicism isn't a set of rules. It's a liberation. It's the realization that while the world can take your money, your health, and your very life, it cannot take your mind unless you hand it over. And you're done handing it over. As you go back into the world of noise, of dark behavior, of constant demands for your attention, remember this: you are the sky. Everything else is just the weather. The storms will come, the clouds will gather, people will scream and the wind will howl, but the sky doesn't care. The sky just is. Be the sky. Don't go out and tell people you're a stoic. Don't lecture them on philosophy. Most people don't want to be free. They just want to be comfortable. Instead, show them. Show them with your silence when others are gossiping. Show them with your discipline when others are lazy. Show them with your kindness when others are cruel. Show them with your success, a success that is grounded, quiet, and unshakable. The highest form of revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. The highest form of success is to not need it to feel whole. The casket is empty. The mask is burned. The fortress